Masechta Chullin Daf Ches Amar Aleph, right on the top, the first words on the top of the Amid of Ches Amar Aleph, the Takei. We should say Shnas Brachla Hatzlachat Mori Wuri, Rab Mori Wuri. Should have a great year, only with success, full of success. Okay, start the Gemara. Omer Rabbi Zeir, Omer Shmuel, Rabbi Zeir said the name of Shmuel, Libin Sakin. If he put the sakin in a fire till it became red hot. That's one of the ways of kashering. If he shechted the animal, the shechita is going to be kosher. What's the problem? Because you can say it's not the shechita, it's the burn that didn't kill the animal. Says you want to know because chiduda, the sharpness of the knife, koydem levuna comes before the heat of this of the knife. In fact, what are you talking about? Well, he cuts nothing. There's the sides of the knife. You have to cut two pipes. Windpipe and the flute pipe, the trach and the esophagus. So he goes with the knife. So right when he cuts, as he's going in, it's burning also the sides. So that's part. It should be bad. Says when you ever go to a shlachtos, my father was a sheikhet, so they put it in the machine and they put the whole head in the machine and the neck is really out there. It's so tight, open. So the minute you give it a cut, it plots open. It plots open, so it's not like the sides of the knife are touching the pipes. No, once you touch it, the pressure opens it up real wide. If he took a spit and he made it red hot in fire, and then he hit a person with it. Do we consider it as a wound, or do we consider it, as a bang, that he got banged, or we consider it as a burn? So what difference does it make? So there's a din by a tzaras. Okay, we're going to talk about a tzaras that goes on a bang, or a tzaras that goes on a bang or on a burn. So those have different din than a newborn tzaras that was never there from before. The size that it has to have is a grease. So it says, what's the difference if the bang, if the tzaras was on the bang, what?
Grist is a barley size?
A bean. Okay. Says, what is the difference? Look at Tanya, like we learned in the Braisa with the gate to a tzaras. Sai of shchin, u'micha, and sai if the tzaras went on a bang or it went on a burn, it becomes tamei in 1 week. Okay, meaning that you close them up for 1 week, and if there's no simani tuma after the first week, then he goes out Torah. But the way that he remains tamei after the first week is b'shnei simana with 2 simana b'sei alava. If you saw 2 white hairs that grew on top of it, or the tzaras expanded. Yeah. So then he's tamei. But if nothing happened after the first week, you let him go free. That's only if the tzaras is on a bang or if it's on a burn. If it's a new tzaras, you close him up the first week, you didn't see anything, you close him up the second week.
See if it grew.
Right. Okay, but it says the Imam, so what do you need 2 pashas? One for that the tzaras went on a burn, and one for the tzaras went on a bang. They have the same din that it's only 1 week. If nothing happens, 1 week he goes out free. And the Gemara to tell you that you can combine the half of shchin. Let's say he has a half a bang, a half a geris, a half a semicircle. Let's make a circle. Half of the circle is a bang, and half is a burn. You can't combine them into a grease and say if the tzaras went on top of it, that after the first week, if nothing happened, he goes free. No, you can't combine it. It's nothing to do. It's like a new tzaras. Says Gemara, and we learned in the Mishnah, what is a bang and what is a burn? Says Gemara, if a person was hit be'etz through a bang of a wood, or be'evan wood of stone, or he was burned when begefes. The begefes is when you squeeze out the olives. Once you squeeze it out, it gets warm, very warm. Or the chamei tveria, the springs of the what?
Hot springs.
Hot springs of tveria. Or in anything that didn't go through a fire. Says the Gemara, so the Gemara stops here to explain. That anything that didn't come because of the fire, including something that he was burned from lead, right? Mm-hmm. Which is hot on its own without a fire. The Mishnah continues, any of one of these cases that if that we just had above mentioned, that's called a bang. Whether it's from a knock of a bang of a wood or a stone, or from the natural heat, not from fire, that's all called a bang. What's considered as a burn? He got burned from a coal, or beremetz, or beremetz is the hot ash that's in the oven. Or by heated lime, or by gipsis, is a different type of a lime that heats up real fast. Or anything that comes because of fire, that's a burn. So we determined what is the pirish of a bang, by wood, by stone, or by anything that had nothing to do with fire that touched it. Something that went through fire, that's called a burn. It says anything that comes because of a fire is considered as a burn. Zui michla, that's a michla, that's a burn. Tanya, we learned in the Braisa, shchin u'michla, the tzaras of shchin, or shchin is on a bang, or michla on a burn. In that place,
shchin, so what's a boil?
A boil, that's boil, but there's also shchin here means a bang, and then there was a tzaras over it. Okay? Now we're going to talk about it. I'm going to say it first. If let's say he had on one grease of a burn, and then on top of that same grease he had a bang, what do we consider it? As a bang or a burn? So we go after the last one. It's a bang. If the bang happened after the burn.
Okay.
What's if he had a half a grease of a burn, half a grease of a bang, and then on that half a grease there was a burn, there was a bang after it. So then it's a grease. But what's if it was the reverse? It was a full half a grease of a bang.
Right.
And then came a burn, and then there was a half a grease of a bang on the second half. We don't combine it because we go according to the last one. That's what he's going to say. There was a bang and a burn. If the bang was before the burn, then the burn that came later is mavatal the bang, and says if it's not a bang, it's a burn. But if the burn was before the bang, so bitul shchin samichla, then the bang which came after is mavatal the burn, and it's called a bang. So over here, well, how is it talking about? To begin with, this person had a half a geris, a half a shear of a bang. The liben shaput, and a person came and burnt the shaput till it became red hot.
Spit.
There's the spit. He burnt the spit till it became red hot. And he hit the person. And through that bang, and it was a double thing because the shput was hot and a bang, and he hit him with it. So what's going to be the din now? Chabata kadam? Which one came first? Right. Is the first thing the bang? Probably. And then the burn came after? So the burn is no. Why? Probably by the knife, by the shechita knife. What do you say first? A hot boiling knife. What came first? The cut, and then the burn.
Right.
Here he's saying what came first. Maybe the bang is first, and then the burn is after. It's a case of a bang and a burn together.
It sounds like it would be
okay. So, and we know, so you have one chatzi you started off, that was a bang.
Right.
And another one was with a shput, a hot spit, hitting the person on the second half of the shear. What do we consider the second half of the shear? If it's a bang, it's combined. So it's considered a full bang.
Right.
But if it's a burn, not. It says, so if it's a burn, you're not going to be mitzdarif with a bang. Or perhaps the burn is first, And us chavatim mevatel lahavla. And we go. The second was the bang. V'havelei shchin l'shchin. So you have two half of shiurim that you can combine because they're both considered as a bang. Because it depends what the second half of the shear that was knocked with a boiling spit.
Right.
He was hit. What came first? If you said the heat came first, because the other half is a bang, and then came the bang, then you can combine it. But if you say it's the reverse, the bang came first and then came the heat, then you can't combine it. Okay. Tashma says, come in and I'll answer you. So the Gemara brings the words of Shmuel to answer this question that the Gemara had. And what did they answer? Shmuel, Liben Sakin, like we just had learned at the beginning of the page. If the Sakin was, with the knife, the Shechita knife was burning red hot, and he did a Shechita, we said the Shechita is kosher. Why? Because we said the Chiduda, we said the cutting comes before the heat. Alma, so you see from here, Chabata Kadim, that first the bang comes and then comes the, meaning that the cut comes first and then comes the burn. Says your mother, what are you talking about? Shechita knife. Sharp, razor thin it is. Chidud shiny. You're sure there it's gonna cut first. Here we're talking about something that's thick, and it's not shaykh to cut. So it's the bang that comes first. Tashma.
It's not a cutter, it's a bang or a burn.
A bang or a burn, right. There it's a cut
and a burn.
And a burn. A cut, and especially when you raise it sharp.
The cut probably comes
first, right. That's what he's meaning.
But on a hit, they're saying they still machlekes?
No, on a hit. We don't know.
Right.
Maybe that's it. So you can't answer from here.
You can't compare a knife.
You can't compare a knife to a dull piece of wood that cannot cut.
Metal, no?
A metal,
right.
or a spit.
Right.
Tashma,
it's getting red hot. It's got to be metal.
It's red hot metal. Yeah, that's what we were talking about. Right. A spit that's red hot. We said beferish. So you can't compare a spit, which is dull and it's not sharp to cut, like a sharp shechita knife. Tashma, coming in. I'll bring a knife from a baraisa that deals with our shaila, liben shapud. If somebody burned the spit till it became red hot, and he hit a person, he has a din as a burn on his body, and so we see al machabata kaidam. So we say what came first, the bang, and the burn came second, because we considered it, that wound on the person's body as a burn. So it says you can't compare from there that the burn came after the bang. Why? Because Hasanami the Varzei Mibras. There wasn't a real bang. He took the shput and he stabbed him. So it was just the burn. There was no real bang.
I didn't hit him. Okay.
So therefore you can't bring a raya from there, from the spit. It's not the bang is not what caused the swelling. It was the burn. But if there would have been a bang together with a burn, we don't know. We still have the suffix. Manuf did a knife. Okay, so we didn't answer the shayla. A knife of a goy, a sakin, a knife that the goy used for avodah zarah. Mutar l'shchitba. That knife that the guy used for avodah zarah, he used it for avodah zarah. He's allowed to do a shechita. Right after the shechita, he can't use that knife anymore. He has to now do a shechita knife. Says he wanted mutar l'shchitba. How could he shecht? Says he wanted. You know why mutar l'shchitba? Because mekalkalu. He's ruining it. The animal was till now, when it was alive, it was able to have children. It was able to plow, right?
Yeah.
So, and we says, here it says that you shouldn't have hana from something that was used for the avodah zarah, but here it's being denigrated. It's losing its value. You're unable to plow with it. You're unable to have children from it. You're shechting. You're killing it. It says, we know by Shabbos. Thesis is by Shabbos we see kilkul Shabbos, somebody who does a malach and it's lekalkil, it's to ruin it. You're not chayiv. So are we going to say when somebody shechs on Shabbos he's going to be part of a shechita? We know he's chayiv. Because you want to say it's different because it's a malachas Shabbos. What a malachas Shabbos makes it a malacha. His intention was to shechta to eat it. That's called the Melachs Hashavas. Even by Avodah Zarah has nothing. There's no such a thing. Concept Melachs Hashavas that he has. We go according to what his thought is. We see he took a behemoth that was of much higher value, was able to have children, was able to plow, and he went and he shechted it, so it lost its value. That's why the shechita of a knife that was used for Avodah Zarah could be used for shechita because it's he's not having enough from it. It's going down in value. By Shabbos it goes according to Melachs Hashavas. Says he would have basa, and he cannot cut the meat with it because now he's having enough by cutting the meat. Misakenu, because with the cutting of the meat, he's having enough. The animal was already shechted, so the meat is ready to be eaten, and cutting it is just a preparation. He's fixing a preparation. That he's having a hana from this cutting knife, and this knife was used for Avodah Zarah. He's not allowed to do it if he's having enough. There's at times that it's forbidden for even to shecht with the sakin of a knife that was used for Avodah Zarah. Where bimsukenes, if the animal is already dying, so now that you're shechting it with the knife of Avodah Zarah, right, you're gaining. You're saving it that you should be able to eat it right away before it dies, because once it dies, it doesn't have the same value. So he shechts it before, so you can have enough from it. So that's hashchita for enough. He says, "Oh, mechat mutter." Then you have sometimes when you cut it, it's going to be mutter. Where batman the kayom l'kobana. Let's say a guy cut up beautiful portions of meat to send it out as a present to a prince. He did the beautiful portions, and this guy comes and he cuts them into little pieces. It's terrible. Yeah, he ruins it. It's like this guy, I'm not going to say his name, he did arts and crafts in Montreal, and he went ahead and he cut a beautiful tree right by the lake in Montreal. Right. King said, "What are you doing?" It's no problem. You want to glue it back together? Right. He can't glue it. He cut it to pieces. He ruined the whole thing. Yeah. So that's what he's doing. Once he's ruining that portion, then you're allowed. You want to forget about that. You sort of forget about that. That the knife was used for Avodah Zarah. Say that the isidic fats that was absorbed in the knife should answer the knife from being used. It's talking about it was a new knife. It was never used. It says Gemara, if it's a new knife, Hadasha, Beinu Rabbi Yishmael, Beinu Rabbi Akiva, Misham Shavid Zichavnei, Misham Shavid Zichavnei, and Asun Ashiyavdu. If the Gemara is, forget about it, that it was a sakin used for Avodah Zarah. Sakin for Avodah Zarah, we spoke about shchita. It's denigrating it, so you're allowed to do the shchita. Says Gemara, you shouldn't be able to do the shchita. It absorbed the isidic fats in it. So Gemara says it was new. Says Gemara, if it was new, you're allowed to use it regardless. Don't tell me drushes that you're not really having. No, the behemoth is going down in value. Say if it's new, it was just designated. Say Rabbi Yishmael, say Rabbi Akiva, say it doesn't have the Isra of Avodah Zarah until you actually used it for Avodah Zarah. Says Gemara, by saying if you want, I can answer you the possibility was Avodah Zarah. He used a knife, but he used a knife to cut wood for Avodah Zarah. So the sakin was used for Avodah Zarah, but it never absorbed fats of Isra. By saying, if you want, I can tell you another answer. It is an old knife that had fats absorbed in it. Why is it mutter? Because he kashered it in a fire till it became red hot, and so it had no more of the fats absorbed in it. Itma, we had learned another day. Somebody who slaughters a behemoth, a kosher animal with the knife of a goy. Rav Amakoilef. Rav says you have to peel off the place where the knife touched the animal, and because it swallowed the fats of an isidic animal, so that area you have to cut off. Just have to rinse it off. You have to rinse it off more, because you're talking about fats. We'll soon talk about it. Let us say, and this is what they're arguing. The one Rav holds that the base hashchita where you cut, it's not so hot, so the heat of the base hashchita is not that strong that it absorbs. So, therefore you only have to rinse it. when it's hot, it absorbs, right? So if it absorbs, the animal is absorbing it from the knife. So there you have to shield off, cut off that piece where the knife touched, right?
Yeah.
So therefore, the sakin gets the basar gets absorbs from the sakin up to the amount of klipa. Klipa means that you just cut off the area where it was gishah. But if it's cold, you don't have to worry, it absorbs, so you can just rinse it out. Says Gemara, loy. No, you don't have to explain. That's the machlekes. The kuli alma beis hashchita is eichel. Everybody can hold that the beis hashchita is hot. Man amakayla shap. The one that says you have to shield off, because the basa, it's hot, absorbed. So therefore you have to cut off that piece. Man amadia. The one that says that you could just rinse it. So you could say, I did the tibis man lapuk edam loy bali. There's a saying, and you learn in the smicha. I did the paliv loy bala. Since it's busy spitting out the blood, it can't absorb. So we're saying the same thing here. Since when he cut the smanim, it's busy spitting out the blood, it's not absorbing the fats. Others say the kuliyama beis hashchita saying and the beis hashchita is cold. The one that says you just have to rinse it makes sense. It's cold, it didn't really absorb. The one that says you have to shield off the piece where the knife touched. Because when you're pushing the knife on it, that at that point when you pushed on it, it absorbs. The pressure that it put on it absorbed. That's why you have to shield off. Sakin treif. Says Gemara, a knife that was used for a behemoth that was treif is os b'achila. Says Gemara, there's a machlekes between avach and ravina. Chad amar b'chamin. One says that you have to take this knife and kasher it in hot water if he wants to shech with this knife again.
Hagolah, right?
Hagolah, yes. Hagolah till it's very hot. Chad amar b'tzoyin. One says you just have to rinse it off, and it's enough with cool water. The halach is even with cold water. It says if you have a piece of a curtain, a shmata of a piece of the curtain, you don't have to rinse it in water. All you have to do is wipe it off with that piece of cloth from the curtain. According to the Madhyama, that says you have to do hagolah in hot water. Mishum the Kabbalah Yisur. We say because it absorbed from the fats of the Isur of the Behemoth Reifa, the knife. In the time of the Shechita, absorbed from the fats of the Isur. Says the Gemara, if so, the Hatena Nami. Says the Gemara, any Behemoth shall have when you shecht it, Bala Eid Menachai. It's when you're shechting, and the knife is absorbing, it's absorbing from an animal that's still alive, and you're not allowed to eat Eid Menachai. It's Isur, and then the knife is absorbing while the animal is still alive, and you're shechting. It should be Asur. So when does the sakin start to absorb? Only when it gets hot. Only when does it really become hot? Only after the shechita. But once the shechita is done, it's not considered Eva Minachai. It's mutter de behema, and therefore it's you don't have to kasher it because it only absorbs from the isur when it's it only absorbs from the isur when it's after the shechita and that's when it's hot. Says Gemara, so 1 minute. So that's the fats, but you still have to wipe it off or rinse it off. By the blood, the blood also goes on the knife. That the knife doesn't absorb it. Rashi says, and so we're not going to even ask about the blood. Only the fats. The fats is very thick. So again, it doesn't absorb it. You just have to a light rinsing is good enough. But when it comes to the oil, that's where the fatty part. That's where it absorbs. A butcher needs 3 knives. One to shecht, and you can't use it for cutting meat because it can get up gum in the knife. One is to slice up the kosher meat, and one to cut the isidik fats. In fact, you're talking like chada. Let him have only one knife. Let him get one knife. First, cut the meat, so you won't have treif on the or you won't have isa on the knife, and then cut the isidik fats. And then, if you want to use it again, you'll kasher it again. Says you want to know. We have to be afraid. He'll make a mistake, and he'll first cut the fats, and then he'll cut the meat. Okay. Now, too, even if he has two different knives, one for the kosher meat and one for the chaylev, he could come to mix up the knives. As you want to know, once you warranted that he must have two knives, he's for sure going to make a mark which one is for the meat and which one is for the fats. A butcher needs two separate vessels of water. One to rinse out the kosher meat, and one to rinse out the fats, which is asur. Don't mix it, because if you have it mixed, if you're going to take the meat and rinse out the meat in the fat in the water that you use the kalim of fats, that's a problem. Take one vessel with water. First, put in the meat, so you're taken care of. There's no iser in the water, and after you washed out rinsed out the kosher meat, then put in the chalav and the fats, which has iser in it also. It says the Gemara, we're afraid if he doesn't make two vessels, he might do the reverse. He might, by mistake, put in the fats and rinse it out, and then put in the meat, and then you have a problem. It says now too, when he has two vessels, we have to be afraid that he might switch around and make a mistake. It says once you require that he should have two kelim for this purpose, there is a hecker for him, and he's for sure going to make a simon for himself. This one is going to say a sign, basa, this one is going to say chalavim. Hold one second.